the two greatest assets. An asset is a thing that is useful or valuable. In business, an asset is a property that generates income. And in business and generally, an asset can be tangible or intangible. In other words, it could be visible, physical, or invisible. In business, the most expensive assets are usually regarded as the most valuable. But I want to share on these two really great, in fact, the greatest two assets. And interestingly, the two of them are not expensive. Interestingly, the two of them are not expensive, so to say. These two assets, nothing relevant, nothing worth the while, nothing important, nothing valuable can be done, can be achieved, can be carried out without these two assets playing key roles, without these two assets being part of the mix. These two assets are time and the human mind. Time and the human mind. Remember that an asset is something useful or valuable, something that is able to generate income, something relevant. Nothing can be achieved, no business venture, no worthwhile activity, no relevant events can be carried out without time, without the use of time. In the same vein, no such relevant activity can be carried out without the human mind being exercised, the human mind coming to play a very key role. Buying and selling cannot happen if there is no asset such as the human mind. It is in the human mind that articulation takes place. That's where ideas for technological investments are born, ideas for scientific inventions are born. And all of these are done within the frame of time. See what great asset everyone who is alive and sane has. But just like every other well-known asset, well-known physical, tangible asset, just like machinery, furniture and fitting, and the likes, just like every other asset, these two must be put to use. Every asset becomes relevant or generates funds, generates value when they are put to use skillfully and intelligently. Likewise, the time which we have on our hands and the human mind which every sane person has must be put to use skillfully and intelligently before they can secure or produce value. Wherefore, the Bible tells us in Ephesians 5, verse 16, it says, redeeming the time, for the days are evil. That's King James and New King James. NIV says, making the most of every opportunity. New Living Translation says, or rather, Amplified, says, making the very most of your time, for the days are filled with evil. So, your time that is an asset will only be truly and indeed an asset, valuable, when you make the most of your time. When you intelligently and skillfully use your time. Your mind, likewise, will also be truly and indeed an asset producing value, able to generate funds for you when you intelligently and skillfully use your mind. The Bible says, Romans chapter 12, verse 2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. On this note, I want to say that the mind that is able to generate value is the mind that is transformed, is the mind that is renewed. And how does one's mind get transformed and renewed? It is through the acquisition of relevant knowledge. You have time on your hands. You may not have all the cars in the world. You may not have all the properties, all the buildings in the world. You may not have all the money in the world, but you have the greatest assets that can afford you these things and more, if you put them to use intelligently and skillfully, making the most of your time, making the most of your mind by acquiring knowledge, necessary, relevant knowledge, getting in touch with spaces, social places where you can interact with people that can sharpen your mind.